It's that time of year.
It is. It's December. Welcome to December.
Welcome to December. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Justin Masterson Show. I'm your host, Justin Masterson. But it's not just me. I got my guy, Mr. Matthew Zappizodi, in the house also.
Hello, good morning.
You sound wonderful today.
Little stuffy.
A little stuffy, so if we hear some nose blowing or some, he apologizes from the get-go, but he's trying his best to not get too crazy with it. But I'm still appreciate that you're out here hanging out.
Yeah, I'm not going to bail on you unless I'm like, can't get up. But no, yeah, it's good. We had a good Thanksgiving and all that jazz, and then you're left with a little remnants of the family get together.
Yes, the good old family get together, which also changed. The weather changed. We got some snow that came in, shoveling some driveways this morning. Did mine real quick. It's great. Long legs, long arms. Just push that puppy, out of there really good.
Do you have the ergonomical snow shovel or just the straight?
I have one of the the bent, one of those, but it's skinny. And I have one of the wider ones that I like to use, and that's the one that I used where I just push right down the middle, and then foom, foom, left side, foom, foom, right side, and the snow was not too packy.
Yeah,
I mean it was
a little fluffy today.
Yeah, and so it makes it a lot easier to just kind of shove it and give it a little push there at the end just to get it off, so it doesn't turn to ice.
Yeah,
like when the cars are going on it. I don't want that.
No, it's a problem. For those of you who don't live up north, congratulations.
For those who do, yeah. Hopefully we have enough. Maybe we do some snowboard. But that does bring up my, it's all part of it, man. It just people driving in snowy whatever conditions.
Like people doing donuts in the parking lot at night.
No, that stuff is great.
Okay, because I was doing some of that.
No, I like that. It is more the fact of all of a sudden, I mean, it happens sometimes with rain too, but a little rain comes, a little snow comes, and all of a sudden the speed limit turns to 10 miles per hour.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because my dad, he spent some time in Chicago. And so people driving super slow in snow would frustrate him, especially when you're going straight. I get it when you're coming to a turn or you're making a turn. Yeah, you're going to slow down, take your time. But when it is nice and straight and you're not what gets me right here is the fact that people are going slow, but then they are 2 feet away from each other as far as the vehicles go. They are packed right next to each other. And I go, what? Just go faster and then things would be okay. And yet they get close and then they want to go down a hill. And of course they want to put the brakes on going down a hill, which is what you don't do when you go down a hill, especially in the snowy weather, because that's when it starts to veer side, left and right. And
yeah, we tried driving up to the family on the first snow day. And, I told them, I was after 5 roll-offs or rolls or guys stuck that we see, we're going to turn around. And they were wimpy, just little sedans that got an edge and just off in the shoulder. And then they're stuck. They don't have 4-wheel drive. And I was like, all right, well, that's 5, but those kind of don't count. And then we got up to 9, and then we got up to 10. And I was like, all right, we're turning around.
What are people doing though?
I know we have a big truck, so it's a little more stable, but I don't know, because it was a straight highway.
Back in the day, we were driving cars, and I remember one time I had my mom in the vehicle. We were up Mishawaka. I'm pretty sure it's my mom in the vehicle, and I'm just scooting along going. and probably should have gone a little bit slower, but I wasn't. And then, caught a little something, and it took the backside, and I just, kept with it, turned my wheel a little bit, not too much. Don't panic. No panty, no
Don't
panty.
overcompensate.
Yeah. And so then I just, and we just had a little bit of this, a little bit of that, boom, back onto it.
Yeah. My favorite one, I was up in Michigan, first time ever in Michigan. They don't use salt, which I kind of like now that I'm, older driver. Sand is nice. But when you have ice down and you don't have salt for the roads, like it's dangerous. But anyway, we got on a bridge in a small country road, and there's this little bridge, and this dude did a full 360 like you see on YouTube now, like full 360, and still rode it out. And then, okay. And then, keeps going.
Yes.
And then we were like, oh my gosh, did you see that? And then literally 2 seconds later, here we go. We're going donut style. You're going 40 miles an hour, looking backwards, seeing the car, behind you all of a sudden. And we made it out. I mean, we went to the shoulder and then got straight, but I was like, welcome to Michigan. Okay. No fault too. If you hit somebody, you're paying your own. They're paying their own. So,
ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
You get hit, you pay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Michigan. My goodness. That's right. Ohio State beat them. So it's finally in football, which, makes a lot of my family happy.
Good for you.
Maybe some of my friends not happy. But it makes for that.
It's all part of it.
It is. It's all part of it. And I know some people were like, "Well, you just need to slow down." And no, I think you need to just speed up a little bit, because I don't know how many wrecks we've been in. I haven't been in a wreck.
Got some wood.
It's been my fault.
Yeah.
And I like driving close to people. when we go, because I like the challenge of when I'm close to them, and in my mind, I'm actively driving. So I'm going like, ooh, put your brake on. Put your brake on. Oh, I'm ready. I'm like just ready to move my foot to that brake just in case that they brake. So if they try and do like a brake check on me or something, like it's not gonna work because I'm ready.
You're ready.
I'm just ready. And so but then when it's snow and I see everyone else doing that, like they're getting close to people because they're going slow. I'm like, whoa. This is not the smart time to do that, people. And I'm the guy who likes to do that. I'm gonna give me some space now, because I know even if if they accidentally do something and I got to put my brakes on, my stopping distance is not the same.
Do you carry a chain with you and pull people out?
I don't. I did when I was driving the Hummer around.
Oh yeah,
used to with that, but not really. I could throw something in the truck.
Yeah, I like the idea of it. I don't do a lot, but
no. But because then you pull somebody out, and then they're like, something breaks or whatnot. They're like, no, just put it there. I'm like, no, I shouldn't put it there.
Yeah, you've done that before.
And they're like, no, just put it there. It's like, no, like that's not. Don't do that. And they're like, it's okay. Like, no, all right, here, you put it on if that's what you want. But it's not on me. You can pull the truck too.
Well, I just like getting people out of the middle of the road. Like, even if I can't pull you out of a ditch or whatever. And more when I stop, I'm like, hey, need help? They're like, no, we're good. Like, I'm not an intimidating person. It's daytime. Maybe it's the beard, whatever. But I'm like, no, you're in the middle of the road. Like, we just need to get you off the road and move traffic along. Like, I'm not trying to be policeman here, but like,
you're causing trouble.
You're going to cause another accident, And they're like, no, we're good. I called AAA. It's like, AAA ain't here. Like, you got me.
Oh my goodness. It is. But that's, again, it's all part of it. I'm sure many of you have your own concepts and ideas and fears or whatnot. I have to remember that not everyone has the ability to drive like I do.
Oh,
and not because I'm like the greatest of drivers.
I see this little ego going on here.
No, there's some. I'm just saying, like, you were a college athlete.
Yeah,
you're still an athlete.
Yep. Try.
And so I think within us, there is, some things move faster. Synapses to the brain, to the body.
Hand-eye coordination.
Yes.
Okay.
All those things.
Reflex time.
Sure. I forget that not everybody has that.
That's true.
So when I'm doing it, like that's in my brain of I see, react, and it happens a lot quicker than in most people. But for many others, I kind of look and go, I bet they don't move as quickly with those things.
You ever seen those like reaction things where things like drop from a machine and you gotta like grab stuff? You ever done one?
No.
I think that'd be fun.
I haven't.
It'd be cool.
I think it would be fun.
Yeah, and then you can like try to improve your time. And there's a dude on YouTube like trying it eyes closed. I'm like, that's not even possible. Like, what do you it's this is rigged. You can't. It must be like set up to do the same every time. Like,
yeah, I mean that's what it would have to be.
Yeah, you can't do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
That's just dumb. But it does. I mean that is it. So I'm not like trying to hate on people like for bad driving or whatever. I mean, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay.
I do have a driving theology that I'm still working up about like how people drive compared to like who they are, what it says about them.
Oh,
the type of person and those type of things.
Does that have to do with their bumper stickers?
Well, that could go in there too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is going to sound really bad, but like if overall, I'm not saying everybody, but overall, like if I see, a handicap tag on the back, or like I'll roll up on somebody who might be struggling in their ability to drive, in the way, of course, that I think that we should drive. So that's not the way everybody thinks you should drive, just the way I. Typically, they have handicap tag on the back, or they'll have the one that's on the mirror, within there. And it's not just them; it's others too. But like in my years of driving, like seeing these, and I still remember one time, like my sister, she would vouch for this at the time. Maybe not anymore. But if we had a difficulty with a driver, many times it was a female. Doesn't mean all females are bad.
We're not going
Doesn't mean that all males are great drivers. Like that's not it whatsoever. I'm just saying that.
I'm gonna.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna take it back. Like that is what I have seen. That's been my experience in it. Now, does that mean that's the experience for everybody? No, I'm sure there's some people who have had terrible experiences where they come up and they're like, dude's on my tail, because they don't like that. Like, I don't care if somebody's on my tail, but they don't like somebody being on their tail. And it's always probably a male driver.
A little aggressive.
Right. Aggressive. So then that frustrates them. So then they have an instance where I don't think about that. So I'm not going to think about that. So it's perception of what you have, experience of what you have, which doesn't always make it right, but it does for you make it true for those moments. And so that's something we can take to life a little bit. Yeah.
And you're also creating, a philosophy of, and like stereotypes and different things, bringing it in. And like, we share a book, Outliers. Remember that book?
Yeah.
Outliers. And he draws conclusions that you don't necessarily think of right away. Mm-hmm. And so I like these attributes, maybe a person in your philosophy of driving, you mentioned their vehicle or the way it looks or the way who's driving or whatever, these play in, age and so on. You gotta wonder, like, does birth date play into it? You wouldn't think, but you read this book and then all of a sudden you realize that like birthday month plays a huge part in athleticism. Well, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, he goes on to explain why and how. And so you think like you go to a statistician and they would have a lot of fun with this and trying to develop these rules or stereotypes.
I think so. It becomes interesting when you see, again.
Maybe that's why certain people's insurance costs more. Maybe they've already figured this out and they already know. Like males have higher insurance. Women may fit your stereotype, but males obviously cause more accidents because our insurances are higher.
Well, and more aggressive, probably do something, dumb, but they're not going to be the ones that are poking along, going slow. And so this would be like when you don't need to slow down, like we'll slow down, or just like
the preemptive
hang out in the middle. And it's like, oh, well, thankful that I am a defensively active driver because this could have caused a lot of trouble by you just sitting like put my blinker on and then I'm just going to stop to get over. It's like, no, that's not how it works. You merge in, you keep on going, or the expectation that someone's going to let you in. So you cut somebody off. So I didn't actually cause any trouble as the person behind me.
I think you got a career here. You should be a student driver guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll move on.
But what's interesting is that, like in this life, I'm not saying it has anything to do with what we were just talking about, but you have countless people, and maybe that's why they, I don't know, drive. They can't get no satisfaction.
They can't get no satisfaction. I don't even know how the song goes, but I like it.
I can't get no, but no, I don't even think that's even it either.
That's pretty close.
I can't get no satisfaction.
Is that what we're talking about?
So the law today that we have, law number 9, is we need to find spiritual satisfaction. And when I first saw it or heard it, it made me think of, I feel like in the sports world, I don't know, have you ever heard it where they're like, never be satisfied?
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
When you hear that, what does it mean?
Well, don't be satisfied with anything more than perfection. Always try to achieve excellence and perfection. And okay, that's not attainable, but but settling is no good, no bueno.
Right. So the correlation that I'm hearing you talk about is the idea that if we were to be satisfied, then we would end up being complacent.
I would stop working harder because I'd maintain. I still have to work to maintain, but I would quit trying to achieve. I mean, we're baseball, so like if I can throw a ball, flat-footed 150 feet, I don't know accurately. Why stop there? Can you throw it 160? Like that's the type of mentality. And then the guy would be like, okay, do you need to throw it 160?
Right.
It's like, well, I'm training to be able to throw accurately as far as possible. I'm an outfielder or whatever.
True. But so then you go, is our minds always bent on the fact that this satisfaction is this overall arching thing rather than taking some bits of satisfaction in moments? So like breaking it down where it's like, oh, I'm now throwing 100 was my goal. And so I got to 100. And we could say, well, why don't you throw 101, 102, 103, like keep moving up. But is it wrong to then be satisfied with where you're at that moment?
Well, you'd have to start with a realistic goal. So a realistic goal by meaning like hard.
Right.
But not, I'm going to throw 300 feet. Well, that's not realistic. So why you keep pushing for it? So you'd have to start with a real, attainable, spiritual or physical, whatever we're talking about, that when you achieved it, what would you do? Move on to a different goal? Would you like?
Yeah, well, I would think so. I mean, that's typically the case. Like you hit that goal and you move the chains, to the next level of it. Like if it was a hard whatever we're trying to get to, maybe a certain amount of money we're trying to make for a company, and we hit that quarterly. So let's move it. We're a certain amount of money we're trying to raise for the nonprofit, PHARE Warrior. Giving Tuesday was yesterday. So if you'd still like to give some money, we would appreciate it. PHAREwarrior.com. Go on there and you will find a nice little spot to give, donate. Men's ministry doing great things, changing lives, creating better husbands, fathers' lives. So we can do that, right?
Oh yeah, way to go. Our spot.
Yeah, there's our
PHARE Warrior.com. Find the link in the details.
It'll be in there, and if it's not, Zappa will make sure it gets in there. But so I think you move the lines when it comes to it. But what I think over these years, my mind has slowly been changed on just subtleties of certain things when I'm looking at them, and one of those is the idea of like the brain and how it works and the way we see things. And so when I hear this satisfied, it's almost like people were so afraid that it's going to lead to complacency that it's always been like, never be satisfied.
Yeah.
But then you look in the psychological world and it's like, well, no, there's some satisfaction. So when I'm like here in Franco, we need to find spiritual satisfaction. It sounds like the problem that is out there is people are never satisfied.
Yeah. That's wow. I'm going there with you now. I think that this contentment is more of the issue than the goal and achieving and the being better. I mean, we always have room to improve.
Right.
We practice that in our discipline of life. But when you're never satisfied, then you don't take time to think about your blessings and be joyful. And
there you go.
Okay. All right.
Come on now. Because then we never sit to appreciate the person who's always moving, never satisfied. In the sports world, I think it's the same thing. You never stop, if even for a moment, to appreciate how far you've come or where you are. And that is something that I try and teach the young athletes of like, sit in some of these like anchor statements of like when you did something well or when things went good for you. And why do we need to do that? Because we forget about them and go, I got to be better. I got to score more points. I got to strike out more guys. I got to hit more home runs. I got to, whatever it is. I mean, in the sports world, and then I got to sell more cookies, right? You know, we're doing, Merrill's cookies. I got to sell more cookies. I got to get more customers. I have to have more guys come through Fight Club to feel better. Like more. Never satisfied. Let's keep on moving, keep on going. And then many times I feel like we lose ourselves. Mm-hmm. But there's an aspect of this that I think makes total sense when we're coming along, is when we do these things, whether they're successful or not, there is a possibility of boredom that comes in.
So complacency, it turns to boredom pretty quickly.
I don't even know if I'd put it complacency. I'd say you're in the midst of doing all these great things, and it just becomes this like in baseball, you're doing it. You might be improving every single moment, but you still get to the dog days because the length of it is like you're doing Fight Club ministry. Great things are happening,
but it's the same old, and so you get bored.
Right. Even
with production,
even when you're trying to produce and do things differently and stuff are like, slightly changed here and you're not just stuck in the satisfaction. You're not being complacent within it, but you're not overly like, I can't get no satisfaction.
Well, this would probably be why our generation only keeps a job for an average of like 2 years, 2.2 years or whatever the stat is. We're doing good things in our job, but we get bored very quickly. And then you look at, well, grass is greener on the other side isn't necessarily true, but it's probably better than here. Like, even if it's not the best, it's better than what I'm doing.
Right.
So we get bored. We move on quickly.
Yeah. And so, and I think the boredom comes in, Frank says this all the time. Everything in this life wears out except for Jesus Christ.
Okay. Yeah. So you're pointing to guide me in this conversation. How do I get from achievement to Jesus? How do I get there?
Well, let's take this. Whatever you're trying to achieve, like say we're trying to grow in our faith, and so we're doing spiritual disciplines. You're reading the Bible every single day, and then it becomes like a task to do. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of, I mean, you may not see it as like boring, type of thing, but it becomes boring.
Yeah. This would be but the guy who goes to the gym every day, he's doing different workouts to keep it new and flexible.
Potentially.
So
I like the example where you're going with here, because that's where my mind went also.
Okay.
Like when we're doing physical type of workout. And saying, guy goes to the gym for a time, he will probably have a similar workout for weeks on end, right?
Yeah.
If he's doing it right, probably have 3 weeks of maybe a very similar, like slight adjustments each day, not exactly the same thing, but this overall, like this week, these 3 weeks are roughly the same. And then, fourth week, depending on who they are, they might, have a little like rest phase-ish in there. And then they'll adjust the workout. Some things might be the same. Some things might be different. But if you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, it's comfortable. Feels good, but that like sense of I need more, or there's something more, or what else is out there is going to come get you at some point in time.
I'd love to hear Meryl's perspective on this.
As far as like the working out.
Yeah. I mean, she's very dedicated to her.
Yeah. It would be nice to have Meryl's perspective, but that's one of the things that I think I thought about within this was the fact of, maybe I'll talk about it in a few minutes as we're giving some handles for things to hold on to work through this type of boredom that comes in. But I like it. The workout's not always the same. You add, you adjust, you move it when something becomes a little bit too like. You know what's random that I saw? The cool thing. A cold plunge. That's like the hype, currently. But while I always saw something on that, I saw something about strokes. And did you know that the majority of strokes, I think I have this right. Like I'm probably over like doing this or whatever, but it's like the majority of strokes happen in men and they happen in the morning. And they typically happen in the shower. Did you know this?
Mm-mm.
And so the idea of a cold shower to kind of like wake you up or do whatever is not a terrible thing. But when you hear about it, typically it's happening later in the day. And so this article was talking about how the majority of these individuals, males who are having strokes in the morning, always comes after a cold shower, because you wake up and whatever's happening within your body, like it's already like trying to pump some things, get it going, get it moving, in the morning time. And then when you shock it with a cold shower in the morning, it then like causes craziness to go on within your body, which again, not going to cause a stroke in everyone, but many of these cases of strokes have happened because of that. Just a random
interesting
tidbit for you. When all these little fads come in and come out, like it doesn't mean they're not good, but you might want to understand the time to utilize them and when to utilize them.
Yeah.
The tips and tricks and things in your life. But it's just one of those where you need fresh ways. Like you can't just do the same workout every single day. Like even with Meryl, we've talked about this, is that she gets bored of doing the same thing every single day.
Yeah.
And so
her dedication will push her through the boredom for a while.
Oh, for sure. Like, and if there's nothing else, she will continue to do it and do it and do it, which is great. Love the dedication, love the push, love the desire. All these things that we can pull from and say thank you for your example of those dedication type things. But it's also a fact where it's like, yeah, but even she knows like, oh, I did something different. And then what happens? Her body's sore.
Mm-hmm.
So then what do people do? They go back
to the other routine.
Because it made them a little bit sore.
Yeah.
So there's this dichotomy of things that are coming on of like, we get bored, but if we go do something else, then it might cause a little pain or soreness. And then we're like, I think I'll just go back to that. To your point of the grass isn't always greener. If I go to this different job and I'm doing a similar thing, but now it's causing these type of issues. So maybe I'll just come back over here. And sometimes that option isn't there.
No, yeah, that's for sure. I think about this with working through, you become an expert very quickly in your line of work. And if you're like a violin player or piano player and you just play a little bit at a time, it's going to take you a lifetime to be an expert. But if you are a plumber or an electrician and you do that same thing every day, 5 days a week, you become an expert very quickly.
Yeah.
7, 10 years, whatever. And then once you're an expert, like there's no new thing that you've come across, or you might have a new thing a month, but it's like, I do this and I know what to do. I feel good in my spot. I have the answers, et cetera, et cetera. And when you think about moving through, when you take someone who's an expert in their sales career and you're like, hey, I want to move you into management. Mm-hmm. And they're like, great, more opportunity, like different. I can have something new coming at me and grow myself. Right. And you like get them motivated, and then they get into it and it's hard and they have headaches.
Right.
And they have to deal with conversations that are tough, and they have to fire somebody. And then all of a sudden it's not as much fun. I just want to go back to what I'm good at. And this is a very common theme of parenting. My kids grew up and now what I used to do doesn't work anymore. My career, I used to always, and now it doesn't work anymore, and et cetera, et cetera. So this is a common thing that we want to be, good at something. We want to like have our work pay off,
of course,
and achieve more. I should strive for better or more or whatever. But when we talk about being satisfied, that's interesting, because I'm not satisfied being the expert. There's got to be more to this. And then I'm not satisfied when I'm trying something new because I'm not good at it anymore.
Oh yeah. And that's where the problem comes in, where we get dissatisfaction is what I think is a rampant thing within our life. So it's not that I'm like, ooh, we say, well, I'm just not satisfied, so moving forward. It's like, but I think the majority of people just end up being dissatisfied. And when we sit in dissatisfaction, that's when we have these, the boredom that comes in, these moral failures, whether it deals with, sex, money, power, that's when those things come. Like when we are feeling dissatisfied in marriage, in life, in work, in our faith, that's when we start doing things that aren't necessarily like our character. We start moving out of that in order to find something to fill the void, to fill the gap of wherever it may be, and that's an issue.
Yeah, for sure.
That comes in. So we're trying to beat. We need to find this spiritual satisfaction is what it is, and so we're just gonna rock into a few concepts of what can help out. One of these, and this made me think of when I was talking with thinking about Meryl in the midst of this, was her workouts are great, but one thing she struggles with is the ability to rest. And so within that, like one of the things that was said, the quote, I didn't write down who said this quote.
Oh, we'll find it for you.
Somebody did. It says, I have discovered that all the unhappiness of men arises from one single fact, that they cannot stay quietly in their own chamber. I'm going to say that's Blaise Pascal, if I can remember it off the top of my head. So this idea that the problem is that we cannot sit quietly in our own chamber.
Yeah, it is Blaise.
It is?
Yeah, and that's a cool name, by the way.
It is a cool name.
It's not spelled like English Blaze, like fast, but it sounds the same.
And so the whole point of this is that we're in the ADD, ADHD world of things, and men just can't sit down and do it. And it's like, no, actually the biggest problem is that we can't just sit for a little bit. And it doesn't mean like all the time, because some are better than others, of course. But I tell Meryl, like, hey, it's okay to like rest from a workout. Like what I would tell people, so a bit of this is more of like kind of faith geared of like, how can we like stay engaged and not lose that, find that spiritual satisfaction. And so some of it for some of you may be, and this sounds crazy, like take a break from reading scripture.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be like, tell my wife, you're hurting. Like, why don't you just take a break from a workout? And I'd be like, no, I can't do that. And to her reaction makes me think of like this spiritual reaction of people. If you say, take a break from reading scripture, no, I must read it daily. And I'm like, well, that's great. By you reading it daily, it's not actually even helping you, because you're taking it and you're just leaving it there. like it's no longer penetrating. Like you've been working that same muscle over and over again, and so it has zero growth. Like that's why we change out the workouts physically. So why wouldn't we do that spiritually in the same bit? And babe, I'm not hating on you. Like, we talk about this. You know that rest, you're getting better at it. You've learned to mix that in because we got to have time for these muscles to recover. And so why wouldn't we let the spiritual muscles recover? Because it's like, well, same type of thing. If we don't do that, well, then I have nothing. And I'll be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No. If you don't do that, that does not mean that you don't have anything. There's an article that Frank wrote, Aware of His Presence, where there are these countless things that we can kind of like mix in, in order to work through some of this stuff. And like some are as simple as like waking up in the morning saying, Lord, thank you for loving me. Like a simple bit of gratitude in the morning, being thankful. If you drink coffee or tea, I don't drink coffee, sometimes tea, you have a mug that has a scripture on it or an image that reminds you of who the Lord is. Like something as simple as those. You're like, well, that's not like everything is not, I have to get, okay, so let's compare another thing in this, and I'll maybe try and I'll put a link to the article in there because I think you need to go, read it and see it. But in my world of baseball, like everyone wants to train the big muscles, right?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. Bigger,
big
stronger,
muscles.
faster.
Bigger, stronger, faster. But what we don't concentrate on is the little muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking the rotator cuffs. I'm talking our labrums, our scaps, those little things in there. If you've never heard of those, well, then you've been training them. But what does that take? Is you're using weights of less than 5 pounds. And for us who are trying to get huge, it's like, what in the world? And we're just doing little exercises, and it seems pointless at the time.
Yeah, there's very little, you can't even see it. I mean, you can't see the benefit.
Right. You can't see the benefit. So what can you see the benefit of is when you do the big muscles. So when I'm reading and memorizing scripture, what do you see the benefit of? Well, I can memorize and tell people all the scripture that I've done. When I'm even prayer is a tough one in that. I can be praying and maybe see some great things happen, but then I can also see like nothing happens. So what do? I don't pray as much because I shy away from some of those things that aren't working the way that I want it to work. And so it becomes like I'm only what I think is spiritual satisfaction is not actually there, because I think I'm satisfied in just sitting in the scripture and I'm just reading scripture and that's it. But realizing that no, it's not actually satisfying the things that need to be satisfied, because deep down there is this boredom that's creeping in that I don't even realize.
Yeah. The Modi Anai is the Jewish prayer in the morning, first thing you do. So you're on track. And it says, as soon as you wake up, you pray and you give thanks. And it literally is, I give thanks to God. Simple. That's it. Move on.
Yeah. Well, I think like for me, every morning, what do? I get out of bed hours after my wife because she's way up before me. But when I get out there, she's in the kitchen. I give her a hug, give her a kiss, say good morning. Every once in a while, say a little prayer over her, or she'll say a prayer over me. And then if the kids are there, I go. If they're not there, when they do get there, give them a hug and a kiss every single morning. And that's part of the routine. And I love it and I enjoy it. Just as when I put my kids to bed at night, which, they're probably at the age where other parents don't put their kids to bed. But I like saying a prayer with them and sometimes reading with them and being able to have just a few moments before bed. Sometimes there's laughter and sometimes there's, good conversation of just being with them. And we do the same thing over and over again, but it does have a different feel and different vibe because it's not the only way that we interact together.
Yeah. But
it is one of the modes that comes together.
Yeah. It's good.
And when I miss it, like when it doesn't happen, I don't lose sleep. It actually allows me to then go like, man, Eden had a sleepover, and so I didn't get to put her to bed and have that moment. So the next day when I'm able to do it, it's like, I really do enjoy this.
Yeah.
Like, this is great. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. You know that feeling when your girlfriend or your wife, like a little bit of time separated, out of town trip, when you come back together, just feels, there's a little spark there, and it just feels like, yeah, I did miss you. And even though like you're annoyed with me, I'm annoyed with you as we live together or see each other every day. Like, yeah, this is a fresh, this is a new. So tell me how to drink this in. How do I get connected in the faith muscle that is not impenetrable knowledge only, or a discipline that's gone dry? Give me some modes, some ways out to drink from that joy.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest things is if we can make time to do nothing with God.
Okay. Yeah. That's the thing I was hoping you wouldn't say.
Because that's the difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
Because how hard is it sometimes is to sit and do nothing with your spouse or significant other. Sometimes it'd be good with friends. Like, conversation is good. Some are better than others. But if you're sitting with someone, like if we're sitting together and all of a sudden, like, us is not a good example, because we can sit together and be quiet and do nothing and still feel like we've accomplished tons of things in life. But like, for this scenario, for lots of people, we're sitting quietly next to each other, and I'm like, I could be doing this. I could be doing this. I could be doing this. Well, I'm sitting here quietly. It's like, yeah, but I could probably finish that, and I could do that over there. I could be that over here. I'm like, oh man, this is just great. I'm thankful to have a friend I can chill, be in silence with, and just hang out. Like, and sometimes there's nothing in the brain, and just being like, this is enough. And you don't have someone going like, are you okay?
Well, there's anxiety and peace conflict going on when you people hear you describe that, and there was half of us listening going like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so anxious about this picture he's describing. And then others were like longing for it. Like,
for sure.
Wanting that so bad just to be and sit. And so we all need to get back to that scripture where he says, I lead you to the still waters and let you sit down and rest while I've prepared. And so you've got this ideal situation going on, but we don't know how to do it. And so what I hear you saying is you actually have to practice it.
I mean, that's all things. You gotta put some time in, practice it, go through the awkward phase.
Yeah.
Of where, like Meryl this morning, 2-hour delay. So our workouts, overlapped, and we have this like glute ham little machine that you get on, and you kind of do some back stuff, and you can get some glutes in there too. But like, we do a lot of back extensions and whatnot. She started doing that, been helpful for her back. And she did, held for like a minute, and then does like some back raises, did 10 of them. She's like, I can only do 10. I'm like, great. And she's like, it is great, because before I could only do 3, like starting out for it. But there was a part where she wouldn't even do it, because she's like, it doesn't, that's not going to do anything. And then she was like, all right, probably quietly, and then did it a couple times, and was like, oh, okay, well, maybe there's actually something to this. And now there is. And I think that's where it is. You have to work through the awkward, the unsurety, the lack of trust, and all those type of things, and just sit in it for a little bit. And it's easier for some than others, easier for me than you. And I think for the ones who it is easy for, there are other things that are going to challenge you, like to get out and have some conversation, to talk, to engage more, rather than just sit in your quietness. For the Emily and I, it's like, hey, like, we can sit in quiet on the couch and be perfectly content with whomever is next to us, but maybe we need to take a moment and, ask a few questions.
I just listened to a podcast on this. Order of Man was talking about this, and he's like encouraging guys to go get mentors and go to places where there's already a group of men meeting, and just like invite yourself in. And if you don't know the people, and try to learn and glean from them. But he's like, don't be the guy who shows up. You worked hard to get to this place, and then you sit in the corner and kind of well, nobody talked to me, so I won't come back. And his challenge was like, you've got to get out of it. You've got to go and make awkward conversation and just start telling people about who you are and what you do. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, yeah, I probably like once a year am the guy quiet in the corner because I'm like mentally spent. I don't have a problem doing that. I'm totally cool just randomly talking to so many people. But I was thinking about that for the Emily types, and it's like, yeah, they did their thing and they went, and then the excuse was, well, nobody talked to me. It's like, no, that wasn't good enough. To be restful in this analogy, you actually have to rest and then enjoy and being content and try that. You can't just stop doing stuff.
Right.
And then the goal isn't to stop motion. The goal is to be content and have peace.
Right.
And find the peace. Well, I don't know how to find the peace. Well, you got to practice. You got to start. You got to try.
Yeah. And it's one of those where Paul, from Paul the Apostle talks about it in Philippians, often, like contentment is a learned skill. I have learned to be content, whatever the circumstances. Abundance and need, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all things through him who gives me strength, talking about Christ there. And it's just that fact of like, you can sit and rest, but also Paul talks about what is our chief task. Our chief task is to know Jesus Christ. And so within that, again, we can experiment. Like that would be the next bit. So it's like, okay, step in. How do we sit in silence, for a little bit to slow this world down because it's moving, 100 miles an hour. And then it's like, how can we then experiment? I'm not talking about getting all crazy and whatever, but this is where I was thinking about like even marriage. Like you do the same thing over and over and over and over again. Like there's some bit of boredom that potentially can come in, like different for others. Like I can do the same thing over and over again and be perfectly fine in many ways, shapes, and forms. But for most people, that's not the way it is. And so how do you then, like if we're getting this spiritual satisfaction, working on that, well, I think this correlates also to, when we're talking about it, how can we adjust what we typically do and not worry about what they say or do or whatever? It's like, let me cook a meal. Let me go do the dishes that I didn't usually do. Let me put the kids to bed that I don't usually do, or get them up in the mornings, or whatever these things are. Let me allow her to have her space. She's always wanted her space. I like to talk. And so I'm always trying to like corner her into having this conversation later at night. And it's like, why don't you just let her go be? Like for Meryl, when she wants to go, and yeah, she's not going to sleep right away, but around 7:30, she'll head to the room. Sometimes she goes right to sleep. Sometimes she's just chilling, maybe a little Pinterest, maybe whatever. It's like, cool. Let her be. Like that's what she needs at that time. And then in the morning when she's like talking my ear off and I'm like half asleep, I'm going to listen, be like, babe, just know that I may not have comments right now because I'm still waking up and you've been awake and excited. And it's great. Keep talking. Like that's what I was saying. I was like, keep talking. I want you to keep talking. But just know I may not always have the response because I'm trying to adjust. Like we're trying to move. So how can we do that in a spiritual sense as we're engaging with the creator of the universe, the one that matters, the one that never grows old when we see the beauty of who he is and the understanding of the greatness of who God is. And then we are able to go like, oh yeah, maybe I need to take a break. Maybe I just need to sit in silence. Maybe I need to just be around some people. Like, cause again, we're not meant to do this alone. Maybe I just need to be around some people, and hear their words, hear their excitement and their faith, and allow that to rejuvenate me. Like, man, I was feeling kind of down and out. And then I went and hung out with my boys and was like, all right. You know what? I just had a bad experience. Perfect. I was feeling woe is me because no one came and talked to me. They're like, well, did you ever talk to anybody? Well, no. And they're like, why not? Because I was in some type of way. And they're like, okay, well, then maybe they're not as bad as you think they are. Okay. All right. You know what? You're right. Maybe they're not, and so, working through those. Does that give a little bit of,
yeah, it's good.
Some things there?
Yeah. No, it's good, man. Yeah. I like it. Yeah.
So again, it's a journey. It's a pathway. It's just experiment. Start with some silence, experiment, see how it works, just like in all things. Don't be stuck in just one single way, think that's going to be it. It doesn't work physically, and that's not going to work spiritually, even emotionally or mentally. So just continue to branch out, see some great things happen, and let us know how it goes.
Yeah. And then when it doesn't work out, like you said, don't give up.
Yeah.
Try something different. Try it again, but also try something different until you don't have to be the expert. You don't have to get there and accomplish and whatever. Like just be uncomfortable being in that scenario.
We want you to find the satisfaction, which is a peace, and a comfort and a joy.
Yeah, because the joy part, I can have so much of what you describe without joy. I can do it myself, but getting that joy to come out and then loving to be where I'm at, that's that joy part. That's what you're trying to get to.
Joy, when we know that someone is happy to be with us. And that is whether that's Christ or it's the people that we do our life with.